Every night I hope.
Welcome back. This is Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're broadcasting from the Concierge Landscape Studios, and we're brought to you by Extreme Exteriors. It's time now for a message from the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. This MHA Minute is brought to you by Pest Control Services. When you need an exterminator, you want someone effective. Give Greg Keener a call at Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748. Pest Control Services is a proud member of Angie's List and a member of the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. That's Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748, 952-894-9748. Tell Greg that Gene and Tony sent you.
If you're renting out a property for the first time, there's a lot you need to know so that you can do it successfully and, frankly, keep yourself out of trouble. Luckily, there's a statewide resource with all the tools you need to run your new business successfully. In fact, the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association regularly holds a seminar called Accidental Landlord, specifically designed for people who are renting out a property for the first time. They also have residential leases, security deposit agreements, a lead disclosure, and lots of other forms. They even have brochures on the principles of successful property management and the eviction process that you can download for free. So if you want to know more about the Accidental Landlord Seminar or other classes about owning, managing, or maintaining anything from a single unit to a growing apartment portfolio, visit the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association's website, mmha.com. That's two M's, mmha.com.
So, Gene, we've been reviewing new legislation out of the state of Florida that governs condo and homeowner associations, and we were just talking about barring felons from serving on the board of directors.
And some of these, so far, good ideas. The ability to for the association to take a hold of rent money from delinquent, landlords who aren't paying the association.
Landlords/owners.
Good idea. This one about having the authority with the association to ban someone who becomes a known felon. Another good idea. There's some very reasonable legislation here.
I think so.
This one, though, I'm a little bit concerned because I don't know enough information, and that is homeowners must be allowed to speak at board meetings
on any item that's on the meeting agenda. That's the detail we have, and we were talking about how we always encourage board meetings and boards to allow for a homeowners forum, but this is kind of vague, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. My concerns with this would be how would this same protocol fit at a city council meeting? I have a right to address anything that's on the agenda with the city council.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't think the city council would allow it because they would say,
no,
we can't get our business done. How about at the state legislature? They have a auditorium or a section for people to listen when the House is in session. But can a homeowner address the state legislators with their thoughts? No, it's not appropriate at that point because we're talking about a representative, elective position.
Yeah.
And that needs to be taken into consideration here, too.
There needs to be some more definition of this. I don't know that it's such a bad idea to let homeowners comment on items on the agenda, but I think it does have to be scheduled and it has to be controlled. So that means that if you know that they're going to be on the agenda this month is something about new patios being poured, and you're a homeowner with a vested interest and an opinion, I think you should be able to go to the board meeting and say during the forum, I just want to say this is how I feel about the discussion to pour new patios. And then that's it. They don't get to get involved in the conversation with the board. They don't get to be involved in the decision-making process because that is up to the board to do that.
But that's the distinctive, is that you talked about a forum where before the meeting begins, or maybe it's after the meeting has taken place at the very end, but at the same time, same amount of time given so homeowners can give feedback to the board directly who've shown up. Because if someone has taken the time to do that, that is appreciated, and that is I think, worth its weight in gold in getting that information.
We encourage it. Yeah. We want homeowners to let their board know what's on their minds. Another issue here, though, is that there are some agenda items that are confidential and that should be kept private. I'm thinking of collections and delinquencies. That is not something that we would advise a board to discuss in front of other owners.
So sometimes it's imperative to go into what's called a closed session, and that's okay to be able to do that.
Because you're protecting some confidentiality.
Yeah. Let's jump over to Nevada here a little bit, because in dealing with the board meeting, one of the things that Nevada thought was necessary is that board members must learn and abide by Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah, they must. It's required
Yes,
now.
It's a requirement now. They must abide by Robert's Rules of Order. I like that. It makes sense. The whole purpose of Robert's Rules of Order is not to make something more formal than it should be. It's not trying to get people out of being able to comment. If anything, it allows everybody at a meeting to, in an orderly, respectful way, to be able to say their piece and for the meeting to continue to move forward.
That's right. But it also allows for an end to discussion and for decisions to be made. Now, I noticed that the Nevada legislation says that they are talking about the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised.
Okay.
I don't know. Have you ever tried to read the original Robert's Rules of Order?
No.
I think there's stuff in there about not bringing your sheep to the meeting. I really do. It's a little bit outdated.
Okay. Well, so that would be good. Here's one that's interesting, and it looks like we're coming up to our hard break here in just a little bit. But Tony, it says here that a quorum of the board. It has been the case, and it's been that way in Minnesota, where if you have 5 people for the board of directors and you have 3 or more present, you have a quorum, the meeting can take place. If for some reason someone has to go and you have less than a quorum, the meeting was established, the meeting can go on, they can make decisions and move forward.
Finish their business.
But with this Nevada legislation, they're stating that if a quorum leaves, and you don't have that quorum anymore, and you only have less than that full quorum, no more decisions can be made.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I have mixed feelings about it. It's tough to agree to anything that keeps a board from getting business done, because there are already so many obstacles and so many distractions to getting business done. However, man, if you can't get 3 out of 5 to sit through an entire board meeting, which should really only last an hour, you got other problems going on there. And it seems to me that it's not asking too much to ask for a quorum to remain through the entire meeting. What do you think?
I know what you mean. The part that I'm concerned with would be that a person who's a known dissenter, or they know they're in the minority, they could use that as a move to purposely stop in any transaction or business of the association from moving forward.
I see. So if only 3 of them are there and one of them's the naysayer, the contrarian, he can just leave the meeting to prevent a decision from being made.
It prevents a decision that needs to be made, where they need to move forward, and it's inevitable, but all they've done is they've just kind of stopped it. That would be a concern of mine.
Yeah, I don't know, though. How common is that? Common enough.
with what we see on the news week in, week out, I think it's not certainly not to be missed. And what's also not to be missed is the second hour of our show. So don't go away, but we've got to take a break right now. There's more of Where You Live with Gene and Tony after these messages.